Hello, that's right, it's Joe here for JOYRIDER TV, coming to you live from Langebaan in South Africa, just to the north of Cape Town. And you may be wondering, what on earth are you doing in South Africa? Well, I can tell you, I'm here to do a bit of coaching, some work with one of the sailors down here. We've been working on his boat this afternoon, all day, in fact. We've replaced okay, let's backpedal. What are we working with? We are working with a 2004 Hobie 16 from Hobie Cat Europe. So they do make 16s down here in South Africa, but this particular boat has been imported from France. It's a very nice, tidy looking 16. Today we've replaced all of the rigging. I'm just halfway through doing a complete overhaul on the rudders, which, as you will know, is a great, it's something I absolutely love to do. Hello, Nick, how you doing? Good, glad that you could make it. Thanks for tuning in. Anybody else who's tuning in, say hello and where you are tuning in from. That would be great. Yeah, so we're just halfway through doing the rudders at the moment. So as soon as I've finished with this live Q&A, I'm going back to the rudders, which is very exciting because we're putting on this bad boy. Hi, Toot, you're going to love this. We're going to be putting on this bad boy a brand new pair of EPO 3s. Oh, yes, we are. No word of a lie. If you're thinking, hey, Joe, you're looking a little bit red in the face, then perhaps that is either the lighting or because I've been working on this boat outdoors all day, and there is certainly some ultraviolet rays in effect. Hello, Paul. How you doing? Good to have you with us. Yeah, quite a long way. Yeah, I've certainly taken on a journey this week. I did Tuesday to Athens, and then Wednesday had to go to Germany first, to Frankfurt, and then down to Cape Town from Frankfurt. So yes, it's exciting. Yes, I'm actually going to be getting out on the water. And yes, the conditions here today are absolutely banging. It's got to be a good 25 to 30 knots, flat water, absolutely crispy. But unfortunately, I have been working on the boat all day, so not even getting the feet wet. All right, who else we got on board? We've got Kuro 5150. Hello, great to have you with us after this time. And we've got Marco on board. Hello, Marco. Hope you're all right. Hope everything's going well. Right, Toot says, I'm going to reverse the tramps on my 17. Yes, this is something, if you didn't see last week's Q&A, something we were talking about last week was the actual viability of putting the trampoline on your boat backwards. So if you've got a 17 or a 16 or a 14, how would it work to put the trampoline on so that the lacing strip goes into the front beam and then you don't have that gap at the back? I think it sounds like a tremendous idea, and it could certainly make for a very a different feel to the boat. The Hobie Cat 15 does have the trampoline reversed like that, where you have the lacing strip at the front and no gap at the back, which is yeah, it's good. So I'd say if you've got time on your hands, then give it a go, see how she looks. But certainly when I start digging boats out at Wildwind again, I'm going to certainly put in a trampoline backwards and see how it looks. And if we're actually getting some more trampolines made by OS3 sales in Vasiliki. So if I manage to get a 16 out before the new trampolines are made, maybe we'll go super custom and actually get the pockets at the other end, which excites me greatly just to think about it. All right, I'll just take you on a quick. We're on the computer, not on the telephone. But if the light's not too bright there, no, it's too bright. But maybe you can see out there. There it is. You can see the Hobie 16 in question, and that package on the trampoline are a new set of EPO 3s. Very nice indeed. I hope you enjoyed that. That was very good. All right, so who else have we got on board? Nick is looking forward to some footage from South Africa. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this sailing area here. Is absolutely fantastic. It's basically like a very, very big lagoon, and the main area of the lagoon is an enormous big space with quite steep chop when the wind's up, and perhaps even further downwind gets a bit rolling swell. Whereas in the more upwind side of the lagoon, which is a bit smaller, it is like absolute champagne speed sailing conditions. So we are going to be rolling with the GPS, with the telemetry overlay, and seeing how many beans we can get out of this 16. The EPO 3s are really going to make the difference there. Looking forward to that. All right. So, we've got Laura in Santa Cruz, Fleet 240. Great to have you on board, as always, Laura. Good stuff. We got Max in Rosenheim, Germany, just back from water Simsee, 2 degrees. Oh man, and it's absolutely cooking here. It's been like 27 degrees here today. Unbelievable. I'd have to absolutely tip my hat to you there, Max, for taking it in those sort of temperatures. 18 knots of boat speed. Great stuff. That's good going. Is Max, if you could tell me what boat that was with? Was it with the Dart 15 or God, I can't remember what else you've got in your quiver down there, up there. All right, Paul says watch out for the sharks. Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye out. At some point during the session that I'm here, we are going to be doing some capsize drills, so that we're definitely going to get very good at bringing the boat upright very quickly, trying to keep those toes dry. All right, we've got Ollie Smith on board. Hey, Ollie, how you doing? Ollie is currently in Canada at an undisclosed location doing some snowboarding. One of the key members of the Wildwind team. Great to have you on board, Ollie. Glad you've had a lovely day. Toot says, coming out of a freeze here in Central Texas. He also says, hit the like button if you like it. Don't hit it if you don't like it. I'll tell you what, if you don't like it, if you've turned this on and you thought, I'll have a look, and you thought, hold on, we've been going for 8 minutes now and we haven't even answered any questions, hit the dislike button. Yeah, do it. I dare you. But don't not hit the like or the dislike. You've got to do one or the other. See, someone just did that. Thank you. Okay. All right, we've got Matthew in Baltimore, USA. Great on board. And then we've got Scott dropping it in the slot. Yeah, I literally arrived here yesterday, and yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Already had the first state dinner, but we're here to talk about some boat sailing stuff. So let's talk about some boat sailing stuff. So I've only got one preloaded question this week, and that came from Michelle. It wasn't actually a question, but I've turned it into a question. And what she brought up is, what is a chicken line on the boat? All right, so a chicken line is also known as a reaching line. And you may have noticed also, I haven't got a whiteboard handy, which would have been great to answer this question. But basically, what what you can have is for the crew on the boat is a line that goes right back and anchors near to the rudder system, so right at the back of the boat. The boat that's got the most organised and well-established system is the Dart 18, which has got, they call it a reaching line, which has actually got a fitting on the back of the boat with a line that goes to a hook, and that then goes to an elastic into the, I believe it's into the back beam where it's taken away when you're not using it. And what you do with this line, if it's one with a hook, when you're on a reach and the crew is right at the back of the boat, what you could do is take this hook it into your trapeze, and that makes the crew absolutely rock solid at the back of the boat, no chance of them moving. So if you do stick the bows in, nothing's going to happen. The crew is not going to go flying forwards. And it means you do see Dart 18s sticking the bows in, the boat stops, and then because the crew is still at the back, the boat will then, the bows will pop out, and then the boat will take off again. Because a lot of the time when you do stick the nose of the boat in, it's actually the crew flying forwards, which turns that sticking the nose in into a full pitch pole or some sort of capsize. So on other types of boat, there are chicken lines or reaching lines as well, where people can hang on at the back, which one of the more likely ones on something like a Hobie 16 is to have a rope with knots in it coming from the back, and the crew can either hook that rope or one of those knots into their trapeze, or just hang on to it with their back hand so that they are really well anchored to the back of the boat. This can also be part of and incorporated into the Hawaiian capsize righting line system, which I have shown on a previous video. Excuse me, 2 shakes. I've just it's all right, I'm back. Yeah, so there you go. That is what the chicken line is for and what it is. Okay, thanks to everyone for tuning in. Great to have you all here with us. If you've just joined us, you may notice in a different location. Unfortunately, I don't have a whiteboard available for drawing beautiful pictures and diagrams of any questions that you may have, but I'll do my best to come up with any answers. But it's just going to be your questions that keep this going. So this might be quite a short one. All right, so Max is sailing a Goodall Taipan 4.9. Quite an old design, but very quick. Nice. Max says it's the little sister of the C2, which would mean it's the kind of forerunner of the Viper, which is, of course, the Goodall Formula 16 boat. All right, Ollie says, do you know any cat sailors in Kelowna, BC? Would be fun to get out sometime. All right, so if you are from somewhere near to Kelowna, BC, which I believe would be in Canada, then stick it in the comments or in the live chat, and you could be getting Ollie Smith himself, one of the key instructors at Wild Wind Sailing Holidays, on your boat with you. I dare say it might be a little bit cold for that just now, but very good. All right, we've got Stefan on board feeding the ravens. He says on the Hobie 16 in Lake Garda, that chicken line has saved us from countless pitch poles. Yeah, it's just that being anchored to the back of the boat is really valuable, because even if you're holding on to the traveller line, which is quite close to the back of the boat, if you're actually trapezing further back than the traveller line, there's that bit where you're just going to be unsupported, and perhaps by the time that has become under tension, it's too late. So chicken line, well worth a look. All right, we've got My Japanese reading skills, unfortunately, are slightly lacking, but just in from Japan. Great to have you on board with us. All right, Toot says, a couple of weeks ago, I met a great guy on the south end of my Lake Buchanan. That's really nice to know. Are you trying to find out who that great guy was? If that great guy happens to be tuned in right now or watching later, let us know, and then this mystery can unfold. Very nice. All right, so I thought, seeing as I'd just pulled the rudders off this, sorry, backpedaling again. Yeah, if it looks like I'm in a different place than normal, that is because I am. I'm in South Africa at the moment, in Langebaan, which is 100 kilometers to the north of Cape Town. Right now, there's about probably 20 to 25 knots of really solid wind, flat water, sandy beach, 27 degrees in the shade, if you can find any. But I've been working on a 2004 Hobie 16 and making a good as possible, ready for the South African Nationals. And we're just in the middle at the moment of doing the rudder system. And one thing that I found, this is a good reason to take your rudders off occasionally, is if you've got rudders which use rudder pins like these, which would be any of the Hobies, especially this will only happen with the aluminium rudder pins, but you can see here, maybe, oh, you can see there that there has been a lot of wear in that area, which has actually made it narrower. And that narrowing of the rudder pin is going to make it so that even if you put in some brand new bushes, you're never going to be able to take the play out of your rudder system. So this will happen to your boat probably if you keep the same rudder pins, I would say for a season, maybe 2 seasons. You might want to look at replacing your rudder pins. On our boats at Wild Wind Sailing Holidays, we replace our rudder pins on average every 2 seasons. So having said that, in the real world, I would say inspect them every year, but you could probably expect them to last 3 years with average amount of use. Because if you don't replace them, then you are going to find that you can't take that play out of the rudder system. Okay, also what has been revealed while working on the rudders, have I got time to grab something? Is everyone happy if I go and grab something? Right, I'm just going to go and grab something. I'll take that as a yes. Enjoy the view. All right, 2 shakes, I'm coming back. Okay, I've come back. Panic over. All right. So here we've got the lower casting, and because we're regardless of whether we're putting new rudders on the boat or not, when you're taking your rudders apart, whatever type of boat it is, it's always a good idea to have a look on the inside of the casting, because generally these castings are quite soft aluminium. So if they get hit at all, this aluminium can get dented and it will dent inwards, which means it's going to put a gouge onto your rudder blade, which you certainly don't want. And now, can we see this? You see this area here? This has been where the tiller arm has come down, and you can quite clearly see that this bit here is sticking in. It's only sticking in like, I don't know, 0.5 mil or 1 millimeter at the most. But what that's going to do is every time you lift or drop your rudders, that's going to cut into the edge of the rudder blade, which is pretty horrible. So what we would do to fix this is we would take a file and just file this sharp edge down, and I'd actually take a file and just soften this whole back edge a little bit just to make sure that there's nothing there which is going to damage your rudder blade, because we really don't want that to happen. So that is another one that has been revealed while servicing these rudders. Other things you can look at if you absolutely can't get your rudders to lock down nicely is the first one is when you put the bolt into this hole, does the bolt move? Because if the bolt moves, it doesn't matter what you do with everything else. Certainly you are going to improve the situation with everything else, but you're never going to be able to get it perfect if this bolt can move around in the hole. The same goes for this hole here. If you're using the traditional pin to put the cam in, and that pin can rattle around in here, that means the cam can move forwards and backwards. And again, same sort of thing, which I am doing a major rudder service at Wildwind at the moment as well, where we're doing every single rudder system on every single boat. And what I'm doing is actually filling the holes which have got too big with epoxy, and I'm going to re-drill those holes and these holes and see how well that works, just to try to take out some of that play. But as well as the hole in the middle of the rudder stock, if you've got the same rudder blades that you've always had, check where there'll be a little bush, metal bush, like stainless steel, in the rudder blade. And if that can move, then that needs to be glued back in. So there we go. All right, this isn't going to be a particularly long session today because I've got rudders to fix and people to see. All right, we've got John Claude in the Dominican Republic, I believe. Enjoy the sunshine, man. Yeah, certainly been getting a bit today. I've gone from limited amounts of sun to full power South African burn your nose off special. All right, Matthew says, would you recommend storing a Hobie 14 turbo furling jib forestay mast up at the marina? I'm worried about sun damage done to the jib. Yeah, I would say, or if you are, whatever boat you have, if you're leaving the boat unattended, so if you're not going to be with the boat, if it's not going to be in your back garden or something, you should always drop the jib. I know it's a pain, but you should always drop the jib, because if, unless, all right, I'll back pedal as usual from that. If you were going to sail on a Saturday, you go down to your boat club, put the jib up, and if you were going to be coming back on the Sunday and you knew that the weather forecast didn't suggest that anything out of the ordinary was going to happen, then by all means leave the jib up, save you having to hoist it and drop it a second time. But if you're going to be more than a day or two away from the boat, I would always opt for dropping the jib, because if there is a significant amount of wind overnight, it is just too easy for the jib to become unrolled. And if that happens, it could actually capsize your boat. It could rip your jib to shreds, that kind of thing. And also, as Matthew says, your sail is going to be exposed to more UV as well by staying up all the time. So I would say, if you've got time, drop the jib. There we go. All right, we've got Carl on board, but you still haven't taken me sailing. Okay, is this Carl who's talking to Toot? Carl is restoring a Hobie 16. Toot says, hey, Carl. All right. Yeah, I think, Toot, you know what you need to do. You've got to take Carl out for a sail there. All right. So Toot says, explain again how the epoxy rudder blades are better than the standard rudder blades. Okay, so there's like probably about 3 or 4 different grades of rudder blade available for a Hobie. At the lower end of the spectrum, you've got these Lexan rudder blades, which are kind of like, when you pick one up, it feels almost like it's made of metal, very heavy, and they're very strong because they're so solid, but they do bend sideways quite a lot. These are the ones that you're going to know if you've got them because they're very heavy. They'll probably have an engraved little circle in the corner that would say on an 18, it would say 18, 17, 15, perhaps because they fit on all of those different types of boat. And those Lexan ones, they're absolutely fine until you want to get your boat above 20 knots, let's say. If you're trying to go faster than 20 knots with those Lexan rudder blades, what happens is they bend, and then when the rudder blade bends, you get a lot of cavitation around the rudder blade, and that cavitation basically means that you lose steering, but not in a sort of drama on the high seas kind of way, more like you just can't alter your course. Maybe it is drama on the high seas depending on your situation, but it's like a big air pocket around one side of the rudder blade, and that might actually cause the rudders to kick up prematurely as well, because it puts a lot more pressure on the rudder system. So if you've got these Lexan rudder blades and occasionally they stall like that, and you'll know that they've stalled because you'll be going fast and it will feel like somebody's thrown a bucket off the back of your boat and you can't steer. You can get rid of that stall by giving them a good shake on the tiller, and that basically breaks this air bubble around the rudder blades. But it will stop you from going much beyond 20 knots because that will happen when you get that much pressure. Then the next grade up, which has been the industry standard for a very long time. Apologies to anybody who doesn't sail a Hobie, by the way, because we're just talking Hobie rudder blades specifically. But that is the White Knight rudder blades, which are the ones which certainly they look like they're made of fiberglass. They'd usually have a sticker near the top, which might be shiny. But those are the industry standard. Those are the ones that you'd get standard if you were to be sailing like a Hobie Tiger, or I think, in fact, only as standard on a Tiger or a Pacific or a Pearl, I think. Whereas with the 18s, 14s, 16s, 15s, then it depends on what spec you're getting the boat at. But those White Knight blades, they handle very nicely if they've been set up well. But the thing is, they're not, don't tell anybody I said this, but I don't think they're particularly well made for the task, or they're not made as well as the EPOs. So what happens is the rudder blade is made of 2 halves, which is glued together. Each half alone doesn't have very much lateral stability, so it'll bend a lot. And if it's allowed to bend a lot, it's just going to snap. But when the 2 halves are joined together nicely, then it's very solid and it doesn't bend. But what happens is, as you put more pressure through these rudder blades and it wants to bend, what happens is the glue that sticks the 2 sides together starts to crack, which allows them to sort of separate slightly, and then it will start to bend, and then eventually they will break. But again, once it's allowed to start to bend, this is going to cause some strange things happening to your steering when you start sailing at higher speeds, like above 20 knots especially. Then the EPO rudder blades are, it's kind of like they're absolutely perfect. Hobie couldn't have made a better rudder blade ever. These EPO rudder blades are incredibly stiff. They don't bend at all, and they are incredibly strong. I replaced all of the Hobie 16 rudder blades in the Wildwind fleet. I think it was like 6 years ago now, if not a bit more. I bought 12 EPO rudder blades, very expensive, put them on the boat because we were breaking so many White Knight rudder blades before. On average, we were probably snapping one rudder blade every 2 weeks. Fitted the EPO rudder blades. It's now 6 years later, and we haven't broken one. And I think you've seen probably in the videos how much pressure we're putting on these rudders and how hard we're pushing the boats every day of the week. And I think that really is the evidence that you need to say how good these blades are. Now, unfortunately, those blades are only made, as far as I know, to fit the 16 style. Basically, you've got this rudder stock on your boat, which would be on the 16, the 14, or the Dragoon. I think that's all. Or maybe the Hobie 13 Classic. Then you could use the EPO 3s. Putting EPO 3s on your Hobie 13 might be considered slightly excessive. However, because 20 knots, if you've done 20 knots on a Hobie 13, then I definitely need to know about it. But yeah, they are the perfect rudder blade for those type of boats. And but the downside is they are tremendously expensive. But if you look after them, like if you keep them covered when you're not using the boat, make sure you don't drop your tiller extension onto the trailing edge. They should, to somebody in the real world who maybe sails their boat just at weekends, I would say there's no reason why these blades won't last longer than the rest of the boat. They are that well made and that strong. Problem at the moment in Europe anyway is you just can't get hold of them, but they're definitely worth it. All right, so just checking in with everyone who's checking in. Laura says in Santa Cruz, the surf capital, nice. We have big waves. This is when sailing turns into downhill snow skiing and airborne flying. What is your technique for driving in big waves? Okay, to be honest, it's not something that I've done a lot of in the last 20 years, let's say, because as you would have seen, Vasiliki is very much a flat water arena. But in waves, what you want to avoid doing is straight lining, or actually let's talk about upwind first. Naturally, sailing in waves, you're quite likely to be hitting the wave at an angle. And I think the only advice I can give with this is just as you go over the top of the wave, if you don't want the boat to take off, so two things you could do is either let the boat take off or don't let the boat take off. If you don't want to let the boat take off, when you get to the top of the wave, just ever so slightly bear off, pull the tiller towards you, turn slightly away from the wind. And what that will do is push the bow down so that your boat stays connected to the water. If you are wanting to get some airtime, maybe you're in Australia sailing a Hobie 14, or if you've got a photographer nearby, then by hitting the wave straight and not bearing off at the top, the boat will be allowed just to continue going upwards. And that is when you might actually get the rudders out. When you're tacking in waves, the best time to tack is, if this is the wave, sorry, no whiteboard, as you're coming up the wave, best time to tack is just when the front of the boat starts going out of the top, because then you've got much less resistance when you're turning the boat through the wind. Whereas if you try tacking at the bottom of the wave, that's when the hulls are really digging in the maximum amount and it's going to restrict the turn there. On the downwind, then what we want to do is we want to use the wave to gather more speed and get deeper. So we'll sail a sort of a a load of like S turns to kind of, we sail down the wave, and when we feel that we're slowing down, we'll head up slightly to get a bit more boat speed until we can catch the wave, and then we'll bear off. Sorry, not particularly good information about sailing in waves, but that's all I've got at this time. Trying to keep this reasonably brief today as well, because I have got to get back to my rudders. I'd love to be able to bring you guys with me, but unfortunately it's too windy to take the computer outside. It's going to get overpowered too soon. Scott says, looking forward to sailing next week with Laura and Fleet 240 in Santa Cruz, and the waves sound thrilling. That's flat water, Scott, going out in waves. It's going to be exciting. Carl says it's 28 degrees here. May wait a bit before sailing. Oh, those other sort of degrees. Gotcha. Okay. Toot's got a water temperature of 51 degrees. Okay. Scott asks, are you competing in the Hobie Worlds in Spain? Oh, I would love to, but unfortunately it is incredibly unlikely that I'll be able to just pack up and leave from Wildwind sailing holidays at that time of year. So unfortunately not. And it's looking now like the only possibility of an event for me this summer is going to be, and this is a real long shot, the F18 Worlds in October. If somebody wants me to come and drive their boat for them at the F18 Worlds in Florida, then I would absolutely love to, but we'll have to negotiate. All right, we've got Florian S. Hello, great to have you on board. Toot has come in with a price for EPO 3s from Murray's. They're $564 each. That's not because Murray's are expensive. That is literally how much they cost. They are expensive, but yeah, it's just one of those things. It's do you want rudders that are going to last forever? I'd say if you've got an older boat, perhaps older than 95, let's say, and the boat's going to be twisting quite a lot, are you really going to feel the effects? Are you trying to go out and go as fast as you possibly can? Are you into it enough to justify spending $1,000 on 2 rudder blades? Maybe they'll throw in some free bush for you. Who knows? All right, Matthew says, is there any way to remove and replace the bolt rope on the edge of a trampoline? The trampoline is still in good shape apart from one of the bolt ropes pull out of the track. I already use tramp clamps. I believe a tramp clamp must be something that just goes over the track, stop it from coming out. Yeah, the only way to replace the bolt rope in a trampoline is to take it to a sailmaker to get it done. If I had a trampoline that was pulling out and I was going to take it to a sailmaker to get it done, I would see if it was actually possible to take the whole boat to that sailmaker with the boat, so that what they could then do is have a look at the tracks that the bolt rope needs to go into and put the fattest bolt rope possible for those tracks. That would be what I would do, because if at the other end of the scale, if they do make the bolt ropes too big, then it is a world of pain trying to get the trampoline back in. Again, if you have got a tight trampoline that won't go in particularly easily, getting it wet, fresh water to lubricate it, to get it in, make sure your tracks are really clean as well. That is going to help massively. But if it's pulling out all of the time and your tracks are in good condition, then you will need to get your bolt ropes replaced. If you're getting one done, then is it worth getting them all done at the same time? Probably. But if you can take the boat to the sailmaker, maybe call up the sailmaker and see if they would see that as being a good idea. But from my position, I'd say that certainly sounds like a good idea. So you get it done once, get it done right the first time, and then off you go. Hope that helps, Matthew. Hello, Robin. We've got Robin there in Florida. Hi, Robin. If you know anybody with an F-18, Robin, who wants me to come and steer it for them in the World Championships, then I may be available and open to suggestion there. All right. So I think I'm actually, sorry to say this, but I'm going to cut this short now. This is just a short one today. Yes, I am coming from South Africa today, and there will be some videos coming from South Africa, which is very exciting indeed. We've actually got a Hobie 14 event going on this weekend, so hopefully I'll have the opportunity to go and meet some of the guys there, maybe do a bit of filming of that event, or maybe not. Hopefully also I will have the next episode, I think it's episode 123 of Show Us Your Cat, ready for this Sunday, but I'm just going to have to find the time and opportunity to get that done, because I am full-time Hobie man at the moment on the water and boat maintenance extraordinaire. So thanks very much for tuning in. Thanks, Matthew. Yeah, epic sailing videos from SA. If I can get out and it's anything like it's been today, it is going to be absolutely gangbusters. Fantastic. I've got the regular quiver of cameras with a variety of mounts with me, so everything is possible. All right, so I'll be back next week with some more Q&A. Again, if you missed this one and you've got questions for next week, just put them in the comments below, and I will see you soon with some more from Langebaan, South Africa. If you see me on the beach, come and say hi, give me a fist bump, because that is the new high five as far as I know. Thank you very much, and see you soon with some more. Thank you. Thank you. No, thank you. It's too much. Thanks, Max. Thanks, Laura. Smiley faces all round. Yeah, hit me with a smiley face before you go. That is very nice. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.